Hey guys, what's going on? Dr. Gonzo, Boogie here again, back for another video. And in this video, I wanted to show you guys my entire King Kong collection. And I'm a big fan of all the King Kong movies, especially the original 1933 King Kong. That's one of my favorite monster movies. I would even say that's one of my favorite classic horror movies, because I definitely consider King Kong to be among the classic monster family, along with Frankenstein and Dracula, the Lugosi and Karloff version. They just go hand in hand, and I grew up reading a lot of those, like, I forget what they were called, but they were like those orange, like, rectangle horror books that I would always rent them at the library when I was a lot younger. And they had stuff about monsters in them. And they always grouped King Kong in with all the classic monsters. And I was just the biggest fan of the classic monsters when I was younger. So King Kong has just always been one of my favorite things, because I've always included them with all the classic Universal monsters. So I love the King Kong movies, love the original one, and I have a pretty good collection of King Kong stuff. This is actually a video that I've been wanting to make for a while now, so I'm excited that I finally got around to doing this. I was actually holding off until I picked up the original King Kong on Blu-ray, and I just recently picked that one up probably a few months ago. And actually today I just rewatched the original King Kong with my dad, so I just felt like this was a perfect day to do this video. So I'm excited to show you guys the stuff that I got. I'll be showing you guys the my Blu-rays first, and then I'll show you guys the DVDs that I have related to King Kong, and I have a few King Kong VHS tapes, and at the end of this video I have a King Kong stuffed animal that I'll show too. So I'm just gonna get going here, and I'm gonna start off with the Blu-rays. And this is the original 1933 classic King Kong here. This is the Warner Brothers book edition, like the special edition, like book, whatever you call these editions that have like the pages inside and everything. I know they put out a couple other releases like this. Actually, I can't say I'm the biggest fan of these releases. I think they look nice, but I would have way rather had like a King Kong Steelbook or something like that. But this is good stuff anyway. Awesome edition. I think this is one of the only ways you can get King Kong separate on Blu-ray right now, is this Digibook edition, or whatever it's called. Really cool. Glad they used one of the original artworks on the front here. Just a classic poster there for a classic movie. I would show you guys the booklet better, but I've been trying to keep this in really good condition, and I don't really want to open it up and, like bend the, whatever that holds all the pages together. You guys know what I'm talking about, so, you guys get the idea, though. Cool stuff here. King Kong Digibook edition. Next up, I actually do have a steelbook for Peter Jackson's King Kong. This is the Blu-ray DVD combo pack. It's a really nice looking Blu-ray. I like these comic book editions that Universal put out of some of their movies. I have a few other releases like this. I have Jurassic Park and Pitch Black in these comic book like special edition, limited edition releases. So these are really cool. There's a few more of these I would like to pick up. But the Peter Jackson King Kong movie is pretty good. I would say I don't think it's anywhere near as good as the original King Kong. The original King Kong is just all-time classic. I don't think any remake will ever beat the magic that movie has. It's just a great part of film history, and you can't change that by remaking it. And Peter Jackson's remake, there's a few problems I have with this movie. I feel like it's way too long. I mean, we all know the classic King Kong story. I felt like there was no reason for him to draw out the movie for so long. And some of the CGI scenes, which is another one of my big problems with this movie, is there's just way too much CGI in it. I mean, I know the time this movie was made, like 10 years ago, it was like, when he also did the Lord of the Rings, which have a lot of CGI in them. But there was just a little bit too much. Actually, King Kong looked good. He did the same thing he did with Gollum in his Lord of the Rings movies as he did for the King Kong CGI thing. He actually had an actor. I think he used the same actor who did Gollum. I'm not sure. I'm a little rusty on Peter Jackson King Kong facts right now. And he actually, he had him in one of those suits. So, he was actually working with an actor they CGI'd King Kong in later. So the King Kong stuff is pretty good, but all the other CGI in this, I just feel like doesn't look that good. Like especially there's like a stampede of a bunch of brontosauruses, a bunch of dinosaurs. I'm not sure which dinosaur, and it's just almost too much. Like it looks fake, it looks ridiculous, and it just looks like a bunch of CGI getting like stampeded at your face. It just almost looks ridiculous. And some of the CGI fight scenes between Kong and like the T-Rexes and stuff just go on way too long. It's like, yeah, we know Kong rips the T-Rex's face open. Does it really need to be like a 15-minute long scene? Peter Jackson thought it needed to be, but I didn't think it did. I thought the original Kong pulled off all the scenes better, and Peter Jackson's remake is good, but like I said, I don't think it even comes close to being as good as the original King Kong movie. But that was it for the Blu-rays. And I'll show you guys what I have for King Kong movies on DVD. First up here is a 2-pack with the original King Kong and its sequel, Son of Kong. And Son of Kong is really good. If you guys haven't seen it and you guys are fans of the first King Kong movie, I would highly recommend checking it out. It has some of the same actors in it, and it was made by one of the same directors. The first King Kong movie was directed by 2 people, and the second one was actually directed by both of them too. So yeah, same director. It's got a lot of the same cast in it. Just really good. It was made like a year, not even like a year after the first King Kong. They actually rushed it out to try to like cash in on King Kong because King Kong was such a big movie when it first came out. I mean, King Kong is just for its time, just a groundbreaking film. The special effects in it. It was a really risque movie, too. It had a lot of deaths in it, a lot of violence in it. The movie was cut at certain times because certain parts were seen too violent for the audience. So it's just a classic movie. You guys haven't seen the original King Kong, check it out. It's only an hour and a half. It's 100% worth your time. But yeah, Son of Kong is really good, too. Of course, not as good as the original King Kong. I would say it's a little bit more kid-friendly, too. And since it was rushed out, it seems a little rushed. It's not as epic as the first, but it's still a really good sequel to the first King Kong, and it picks up like right where the first one left off. So just good stuff there. Really good example of a sequel. All right, and then next up here is Mighty Joe Young, which is some people consider to be like the third in the classic King Kong series. It has one of the same directors again, and it has, I think Ray Harryhausen does the effects, does the stop motion in this one, and I think he worked on the first 2 King Kong movies as like an assistant, but this was the first one that he did all the stop motion on. I could be wrong with that too. I'm a little bit rusty on all my King Kong facts right now, but this is a really good one. I mean, it's not exactly a King Kong story. It's like its own story on its own. I actually think this movie was remade too in the 90s. The 90s remake I don't think has anything to do with this one, but it does follow a similar story. It's actually been a long time since I've seen this one, so I don't remember too much of it, but it is a really good one, and I would definitely consider it part of the King Kong collection. It's in the box set. There's like a box set that comes with all the King Kong movies, comes with King Kong and Son of Kong, and it also includes this one, so it's good stuff there. Alright, next up here is the Toho King Kong movies, and Toho is most famous for doing their Godzilla movies, which Godzilla is also an awesome giant monster movie. But King Kong is really like the whole start of that giant monster genre. Without King Kong, I don't think there ever would have been that genre, even though there was a few movies that came out before King Kong, like The Lost World, I think, that had like giant monsters in it, but King Kong really like was the like set up what that would be about. A monster gets brought to a town or a city somehow and goes on a rampage. So just again, just such a classic film, King Kong. But the Toho movies are a lot of fun too. I'd say they're a lot cheesier, and I wouldn't take them seriously. I just consider them like fun movies, like popcorn movies to pop in and watch, But they're a lot of fun. I would say I probably have more fun watching the Toho ones than I do any of the other King Kong movies because they're just cheesy and just good fun. But this is the first one they put out, King Kong versus Godzilla, which is just awesome. Probably the coolest thing you could ever do, having King Kong and Godzilla fight each other. This is one of the best monster fight movies ever. Classic stuff. But they made a sequel to that one called King Kong Escapes. And in this one, King Kong fights a Mecha Kong, a robot Kong, so this is a lot of fun too, just as cheesy as the King Kong versus Godzilla one. Highly recommend checking this one out too, lots of fun. Okay, next up here we have the 1970s remake of King Kong with Jeff Bridges in it. I would say this one isn't too good, but this is sort of a guilty pleasure of mine. The ape effects in this movie are done with a guy in a costume, just like the Toho ones are, but it just comes off as really cheesy in this, because this is supposed to be a big budget American movie, big budget Hollywood movie. This movie had tons of money thrown into it. When this came out, this was a big deal, and the ape suit I don't think is as good as it could have been. I mean, I've seen some really good costumes in horror movies before, and the costume in this one, you could just tell that it's a gorilla costume. I mean, it's Rick Baker did the effects in this, which Rick Baker is one of my favorite special effects artists, and he actually plays King Kong in this movie. He's the guy inside of the suit, is Rick Baker. So for any Rick Baker fans out there, this movie is worth checking out just for that reason. But I wouldn't say this is a bad remake of the movie, but out of all the King Kongs that have come out, the original one, the Peter Jackson one, and this one is probably the worst out of all of them. But still, it's worth checking out, in my opinion, especially if you're a fan of some of the other King Kong movies. Okay, next up here is Konga. This is actually a British King Kong movie, like a British ripoff of King Kong. This came out in the 60s, early 60s, and I had a lot of fun watching this. This one is a little bit different because it actually has a mad scientist who, he injects like a monkey with some drugs or some serum he's working on in his laboratory, and that's what turns the ape to be giant and go on a rampage. But once the ape gets big, it basically kind of follows a similar plot as King Kong does, so I would definitely consider this kind of like the British King Kong, I guess. And I actually have a Midnight Movie 2-pack that also comes with Konga, so I figured I would show that off too. Also comes with another movie called like Young Gary or something like that. I actually haven't gotten around to checking that one out, but it looks like it might be some cheesy fun. Alright, and then next up here for the DVDs is this set that I have from Alpha Video. This really isn't King Kong related, but based on the cover of this and the name of this set, I put it alongside my King Kong collection. And this set is called Sons of Kong, Gorillas Gone Wild. I love the artwork on this. Honestly, that's the only reason I've held on to this release after all these years, is just because I really think the cover art on this is a lot of fun. But this is just your regular budget Alpha Video release here. It comes with a lot of the public domain ape movies that you guys see in dollar store releases everywhere. Comes with Boris Karloff in The Ape, Bela Lugosi meets a Brooklyn gorilla, The Ape Man with Bela Lugosi, Bride of the Gorilla with Lon Chaney Jr., The Savage Girl, The White Gorilla, Law of the Jungle, White Pongo, and Nabanga. So I actually haven't gotten around to watching any of these, but back when I was a lot younger and I had other public domain sets, I must have seen The Ape and Bela Lugosi meets the Brooklyn Gorilla at least once, but I haven't watched any of these in a really long time. One day I might do a little marathon of cheesy ape movies if I'm in the right mood. Alright, but last for the DVDs is another kind of not King Kong thing, but this is really related to King Kong, almost more than that is. So I have this at this like bookends my King Kong DVD collection on my shelf, and this is the Most Dangerous Game movie. And this came out around the same time King Kong came out. It actually came out a year before King Kong, but it was filmed on the same sets as King Kong, but King Kong took longer to come out because it had all the special effects that needed to be done. But this was filmed on the jungle sets for King Kong, and it has one of the same directors, and it also uses most of the same cast. I mean, Fay Wray's in this, and some of the other actors from King Kong are in this. Even I can't remember the guy, the filmmaker guy, even that actor from the original King Kong is in this one. So this is based on a really classic story. If you guys have never heard of this, I'm sure you guys are familiar with the story. It's about a group of people who get shipwrecked on an island, and on the island is like an eccentric rich guy, and his secret is that he hunts people. He has like this whole thing he does, and it's a really cool movie. And I would highly, highly recommend this. But it's really cool because it uses a lot of the same actors and sets and stuff as the King Kong movie. So definitely worth checking out if you're a huge fan of the original King Kong. Alright, that was it for the DVDs, but I said I have a few VHS tapes to show. So first off here is just a classic release of King Kong on VHS. This is actually a more recent release. This was released in the late 90s. I've seen some older King Kong tapes at thrift stores before, and I've been tempted to pick them up so I can kind of build a little King Kong VHS collection. But so far, this is the only copy I've picked up of the original King Kong movie. But I really like this one. I really like the cover on it and everything, and it's still in the wrapper. And I also have King Kong Lives, and I actually don't have this King Kong movie on DVD. This is the only King Kong movie that I don't have on DVD. And this is actually the sequel to the 1970s King Kong with Jeff Bridges. And the weird thing about this movie is it introduces a female Kong. They go back to the island and capture a female Kong, and so now and then they bring it back, so now you have King Kong and a female Kong both like rampage in the city. So this is kind of a weird one. I would say this is probably one of the weirdest King Kong movies I've ever seen. This one came out in the 80s, and I'm pretty sure this is the only King Kong movie to come out of the 80s. It is, and this has Linda Hamilton in it, known for being in Terminator. And just a weird movie, really weird here. A lot of people I don't even think know this movie exists, but King Kong Lives. The DVD for this is kind of hard to find. It's not really hard to find, and it's not that expensive, but I've just never gotten around to picking it up yet. But it is on my list of stuff to pick up one of these days. But I was happy to find the tape of this. I picked this up, I think, at a Goodwill for like $1. Alright, and then last for the VHS tapes, I have this weird King Kong musical, I think. This is a cartoon animation. This is put out by Warner Brothers in the late 90s. And I swear I must have rented this a few times when I was younger. I actually haven't gotten around to watching this yet since I picked it up. I picked this up probably like almost a year ago at another thrift store. But I'm definitely going to check this one out. Looks like it's probably fun. Alright, but that was it for the VHSs, but I did say that I have a King Kong stuffed animal that I wanted to show you guys. That's actually a cool story behind this guy here. This is actually really cool. It's like based off the look from the original movie, but I won this in a prize grabber machine at, I think, a Kmart around the time the Peter Jackson movie was coming out. And actually, back when I was younger, I used to be really good at prize grabber machines. I know those are like randomized and there's like really no way to be good at them, but I used to have good luck with them when I was younger because usually I would always win if I tried. And I've gotten some really cool stuff out of prize grabber machines before, some Universal Monster dolls, which I still have a few of. And this King Kong is probably my favorite thing I've ever won out of a prize grabber machine. Really cool. It's kind of got like a plastic face, and then the rest of it is just like a regular stuffed animal. I left a tag on it, and it says Original King Kong on it. And yeah, it's from 2005, and I'm pretty sure that's around when the Peter Jackson movie came out. Just see here if I can see the date on here. Yeah, 2005. So yep. Definitely picked this up around when that was coming out. But that is all my King Kong stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I plan on doing more videos like this where I show you guys some of my collections within my collection. Some of the ones that I plan on doing soon I want to do my Videodrome collection. I have a couple copies of Videodrome on Blu-ray and DVD, and I also have a Videodrome tape. I want to show you guys my scanners collection, the David Cronenberg film Scanners. I have tons of copies of Scanners, and I have all the sequels on VHS. And also, pretty soon, I'm going to show you guys my entire Arrow video collection. I've been obsessed with Arrow video releases lately, and I've been picking up a ton of them. I just picked up the 2-disc box set of Society. Haven't gotten around to watching it yet, but just really excited about all those Arrow video releases, and I want to show you guys all the ones I have. So that'll probably be a video that I'll try to get out there as soon as I can. But like I said before, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, definitely leave a comment or give this video a thumbs up. I'll see you guys next time.